Hi everyone, it's Alex Rushdie from Control All Monsters. You probably noticed I've renamed the YouTube channel to that. It's just so it's in line with my blog, controlallmonsters.com. So recently, G-Darius G-Darius HD rather, got an update patch now in all regions. And what that does is it adds a couple of new things. It adds what they call the consumer version of G-Darius to the collection, which is the PS1 version. It has some slight differences. It has a boss rush mode, etc. But the more exciting and kind of the bigger announcement that came out of this update was that G-Darius version 2 would be added to the collection. So version 2 is it was an arcade release, kind of an update to the original G-Darius, almost like a black label, a range or something like that. And it's, kind of famous and in some ways maybe infamous for a few things. So I figured I would do this guide for people who are looking to jump into the world of version 2, people who maybe have never played it and want to learn a little bit more about it. And this might turn into like a little bit of a review play, so I finally got the clear on it. I went credit clear, but with one death that you'll see. I actually got a separate clear with 3 deaths, which, in case you didn't think you can recover in G-Darius, you definitely can. Maybe I'll post that later, but for now, let's just start the replay, and I'll give my commentary over top. So, what's important to note about G-Darius version 2, and I'm playing the HD version here, is that it changes a couple of key features from the original game. Most of everything it does is in service of just making it significantly more difficult. Again, I'll get into each of the individual changes, and you'll see them as we come up, but some of the key ones are that your shield no longer, like in any version, protects you from like enemy collision. So if an enemy runs into you, it's not that you just lose your shield, you lose your ship. And I believe that's for all versions of the shield except for maybe the strongest version, like the golden shield that you get at the end of the game. Mini bosses, captains, they have all received significant health boosts. They're all a lot harder to capture now. Golden shields take a lot more damage than they used to. Bosses don't seem to have more health. Like a little bit more health, sure, but not a huge amount. But they do have a lot of new behaviors and new attacks. So yeah, stage 1 here. Honestly, your routing, if you've played G-Darius, the original is pretty similar. There are a couple of new tricky enemy placements designed to get you. For the most part, if you've routed G-Darius, you can route version 2 zone alpha, I guess, area A. Now I'm doing the Lambda route here, and I'm following the exact same macro route as I would if I were playing the classic G. Yeah, you'll notice here the amount of time it takes to get this guy's golden shield off is significantly longer than in the original. Yeah, so my macro routing is the same as my other G-Darius HD runs, but my macro routing has to be quite different. Now, in G-Darius, when you capture an enemy, it actually gives you some invulnerability. So as the enemy is being captured, you are invulnerable, which was kind of a nice way to, because there's no way to panic bomb in this game. It was a way to get a little bit of invulnerability if you were in trouble, or you could just use it to your advantage in a number of different ways. Now this boss, you're going to notice here, I'm just laying into it. I'm not playing around. There's 2 reasons for this. One, the bosses now have a timer, and the timer, however much time is left on it, is multiplied by 10,000, and you're given that bonus. I still believe scoring wise it's worth it to go through and get the counter, like the alpha beam counter on that guy. I'm not sure, but I just plowed through it for one major reason, which is that I just wanted to get through it. And I'm not intending this to be a review of the game, but there's no way around it. I'm not the biggest fan of version 2. I much prefer version 1, but I just wanted to get the clear to understand the game. And part of that is just because version 2 feels like the developers of version 1 watched super players play, or they watched people get their clears, and then they went, no, we don't want that. How can we make the game just, slap them down? Any of the techniques that they've used, let's just try to make a game that'll punish them for using them. So it's a kind of a mean-spirited game, especially if you're used to playing vanilla G, because it knows what you're going to try to do, and it just slightly tweaks itself to hurt you. Now this is one of the hardest, like the first kind of difficulty spikes is this enemy here is added. So this captain doesn't show up here in vanilla G, and in order to get that capture, you really have to be aggressive. So what I'd like to do there is I kill that one of the enemies with the shot power up early, but I don't claim it because the laser weapon is significantly weaker than the regular missile weapon. And then I run up close, I point blank it with a exploding enemy, and I just try to kill it as fast as possible, and then run back and claim that weapon power up, because it does help a bit on the boss. It's not super necessary though, but yeah, I mean that was one of the I think that was the earliest point where I realized, okay, version 2 is just designed for people who have already beat G-Darius, and it's just designed for people who want it to be harder, and really not much else. Yeah, the rest of the stage here introduces these yellow diamonds, and again, if they touch you, right, you're not going to lose your shield, you will just die. I think they can deplete your shield because your shield's hitbox is actually larger than you, but if one of them hits you dead on, you're toast. So yeah, you're gonna have to rewrite this stage, but you'll notice that when I'm performing my captures is different. You have to be really careful here because the game is trying to push you to the center back of the screen so it can kill you with those things. It's a much meaner version of the game, and unlike something like, I don't know, an actual Black Label Arrange or other arrange modes from other games that are harder, a lot of the game is really just G-Darius. It's just meaner, but anyways, I mean, I guess I had enough fun to play through the entire one credit clear, but it took a lot more time than I expected. So this boss, you can largely play the same as you have in G-Darius. The key difference is the guns under its neck. You really need to take those out. You can't really, you can deal with them, but there's no real benefit to keeping them around and letting them do their thing. So you take them out as quickly as possible. You just want to deal as much damage as you can to the head. But you don't need to worry too much about if you're dealing enough damage to the head, because I like to keep it below 400 HP, or roughly. I mean, I used to play this without the gadgets. But even if you don't get it quite down to that, you can always just use the alpha beam. So that's what I do here is I unleash it and I just kind of hit the head until it gets to, at least below 500 is probably safe. But I usually go a little lower. And then yeah, you just alpha beam him to death. Very similar to the G-Darius boss, just a little more hardy, and those guns under the neck, if you don't kill them off, they will be a lot meaner in this mode because they have bullets that can't be destroyed. Then we're in Delta Zone. And also, it doesn't there isn't any new music or anything like that. I don't think there's any new enemies on any of the routes either. Everything's pretty much the same. It's just rebalanced. So here, your routing is very similar, or my routing is very similar to how I did it in Vanilla G. There's really not much of a difference. But as you'll see, they added this section here. You just gotta really kind of bait those enemies out by heading to mid-screen and then pulling back as soon as they appear so they don't hit you with a barrage of bullets. And the captain, you'll see that the captain has his shield there is just a lot hardier than it is in vanilla, and you got to be careful with that. And here I kind of blew it, actually. I kind of messed it up, but it worked out kind of in my favor because as much as his shield has increased in health, he hasn't, and it's almost easier here to let him die. As you can see, I just did. So thankfully I didn't use a capture ball, but I kind of needed to figure this out on the fly, because usually I capture him and take him through the level and use him. So I had to adapt in the middle of my run here, which is not a big deal because there's tons of enemies here. I grabbed this one just because I kind of like the more straightforward forward shot, and it's pretty powerful. And yeah, everything's still fine. But yeah, you'll notice if you don't kill that mass quick enough and time your capture ball correctly, like you might end up in a situation where you need to kill the captain, and just so you can move forward safely, because things can pile up really quickly in this game. So yeah, this again, very similar to Vanilla G routing. Things do have a little more health. There's not much in the way of more enemies at this certain spot. Power up my Alpha Beam, unleash it. Make sure to get that screen clearing bomb at the top there, the power up, the golden power up. Capture another enemy. And then power up another Alpha Beam. The game is still pretty generous with capture balls, as long as you don't die at an inopportune moment. And maybe I'll talk about that in another video, but recovering in this game is more about your capture balls than your weapons. I capture this guy now. This is actually new routing that I think could work in Vanilla G as well, better. It's just a better capture to use. He just auto shoots, like automatically homes on enemies and shoots them. So yeah, just clear this stuff out. It's pretty similar to how it was in Vanilla G, but you can see that things are a little hardier, and there's more. You have these enemies moving in the foreground. Once the red one comes in, I need to get in position. I need to drop that bomb, claim that red power up, and head into Dual Horn, who is, in all honesty, pretty similar to how he was in G. There's not much of a difference except for one of his phases. So yeah, that's the same exact routing as in Vanilla G to get rid of that homing laser. These homing missiles, you kind of have to. There's a couple different ways you can move here, but I like to just kind of do this almost square motion up and around. I find it works really well to get them on right angles. This is the part that's probably the hardest part of the fight, or at least it seems like it. You just need to stay kitty corner to whatever he's doing. For version 2, they've added more indestructible bullets. Once you're through that, it's pretty much over. The fight's pretty much over at this point. Shooting his tail is, thanks to the gadgets I learned, is doing the same damage to his body, so that's cool. That's another thing they added in this update, is the gadgets are way better. I mean, it's practically a shot triggers game now. They really updated them, and the boss gadgets are super useful. Yeah, It's great. I mean, I still love this game. I'm just probably gonna go back to vanilla G. So this zone is the run killer for me. This is the part where version 2 just like slaps me in the face, and can be kind of frustrating. You'll see why. I had to totally reroute this from G-Darius, which was interesting in its own way, but I mean, it was one of the few stages where I had to do serious rerouting as opposed to like a just a minor tweak here and there. And the reason is because of the captain. The captain here you desperately need, but has become way more challenging to get. So from the, right from the bat, I'm getting this big enemy here. Deals a little more firepower. You want to get right in close, and you want to be really point blanking and using your bombs to get this captain. And when I say bombs, I mean like the 4-way bombs that are coming out of your ship, not anything like that. So you need to pop off a bomb, get in his face, and you need to be slamming those bombs against his face if you want to have any chance to capture him. And I did a good job here, but it's such a pain in the butt. And if you're off and you're not really in there and hammering that golden mask, you will suffer greatly for it, and it could, you'll likely get hit with chain deaths. Now, I have done that where I got 2 deaths. I got 2 chain deaths. Chain death, like, right there, but as you can see by my shot meter, it's not actually the worst place to die, so even though I died twice there, I still actually got the clear on one run. So don't just like throw in the towel if you die there, but keep in mind that you'll be short on capture balls, and that's not good. So the boss here, Fire Fossil, has changed quite a bit in some like weird ways, but I'll get into that. Most of it you can do the same as you wrote in G-Darius vanilla. You want to capture one of these enemies. Take these things out as quickly as you can, but don't overstay your welcome down there, because they don't die as quickly as they used to, and they can take out one of your captures. Now, after you destroy these missiles, you're going to go right into an alpha beam, because this part has changed a lot. It is a lot more treacherous, and you need to take out all of these bottom units, as well as try to take out those laser cannons. You can leave one, it doesn't really matter, but they will. In groups, they're quite difficult. And just take out the top blade there, don't go for all of them. Okay, you're gonna want one of those. You need one of these shielding captures if you want a chance in hell at getting through this part. At least at my skill level. This guy's not too bad. I mean, when there aren't a million bullets on the screen, this captain can be destroyed pretty easily. Keep in mind that the slowdown will cease, and you'll need to speed up your pattern once Fire Fossil leaves. And now this part's quite different. This part is actually, in an interesting twist, this boss fight has a lot changed from the vanilla version. So you don't want to use your alpha beam here. You just want to move through these and block those bullets with your capture. Careful, because they can sneak in between. You see how they're pulsating up and down? They can sneak in. Yeah, I got hit once there. Here as well, you don't want to use your alpha beam. You don't want to set a bomb or anything. You just want to tap dodge through this and slowly move back as more of those missiles show up, so that you can keep on top of them. You can actually dodge through this, but it's fine if it hits your capture. Now you want to use your alpha beam, because this part is pretty irritating without it, and this is going to help you deal a lot of extra damage. to Fire Fossil. This part, you just want to stay in this bottom corner. Really, that's it. You can, I mean, you can get a few extra hits, but it's not really going to make a huge difference. So I actually just sit there and wait. Shooting the jaw doesn't deal any damage to Fire Fossil. Now, they got rid of the old sweet spot here, but there's a new sweet spot. It's just there, I guess. You know, I mean, it's hard to find a. You can kind of see where it is between those scales. But you have to pay attention to this new sweet spot because, see, I got hit there by one of the, yeah, there it is, death. Your shields don't do you as good anymore. So that's my death in this run. I just wasn't careful when I was in the sweet spot, but that's not a huge deal. You'll see I lost all my shot power there. The last level, the last zone is so generous with shot power-ups that it's not even a problem. It's only a problem at the beginning of the stage. So yeah, there you go. Again, that part there, pretty much just like vanilla. But yeah, I got dinged, and my shield was taken away, and then my ship was destroyed. So, but you know, you can still recover. It's not a total loss. All right, we're heading into Lambda zone here. So Lambda is honestly very, very similar to how it was in vanilla. You'll notice, I mean, I'm at a bit of a power. I don't have enough power here, so things are routed slightly differently to account for that. But it's not to account for the fact that this is version 2. That really doesn't have a meaningful difference in how I route the stage for the most part. It was just the captain. It's the general theme of G-Darius version 2 is like, captains are more annoying now, so you gotta change your strategy for them. The rest of the stage is usually pretty much the same. So yeah, I get my shield, I immediately get it blown off because I wasn't paying attention to the big gold missiles. Doing a little better on damage now, but I really could use better shot power-ups, or more shot power-ups. So this guy here, yeah, you want to start it like you would in vanilla, but then you just want to stay really close and point blank his face until he's done. Honestly, I've had runs where I've had to do that without the capture. Like I couldn't use an explosion in his face, and it's still very doable. It's not that bad at all. So here you kind of want to stay low, and you want to destroy as many of these laser emitters as you can. These enemies are way faster now, so you got to be careful about those shots. And of course, you're avoiding the fake enemy there. That blue shield power up wasn't a real one. That's a fake. As you can see, I'm already almost at full power, despite missing in this run. Don't worry about this captain. He's quite hardy. He's got a lot of health. That's not a problem. Okay, so you see the shark. As soon as you kill one shark, you wait. And once it's, bottom fin passes that certain point, that was my visual cue. I would unleash my alpha beam to take out these two sharks, head to the middle of the screen, capture that guy, and now we're cooking with gas. There's one more shield power up that I need to get. Now I'm now at full power, which is great, but I gotta hit that shield power up because the Lightning Coronatus has some new moves and is tougher than usual. Got it. So we're good. I'm in really good shape here heading into this. final boss. There's a few minor changes to this. I changed my routing. You do need to deal as much damage as you can to that head. That's key. The more damage you deal, the easier this fight is going to be later on, which is important. So, I mean, unfortunately, I was kind of sloppy here. I have taken a few hits. I'm cleaning things up. Here, just tap dodge up. Be careful of course, the fin laser that's going to shoot down at you whenever you cross the midsection of Lightning Coronatus. Okay. So this is a safe spot in version 1, and in version 2 it's not, but it's not too bad. These are slow moving bullets. You need to immediately go into an alpha beam here, and you need to stay on Coronatus' head. You need to stay on it, damaging it. If you hear that clicking sound that indicates that you're hitting an armored piece of the body, that is not good. You really need to be dealing damage. That is one of your main damage opportunities. Here as well, get up there, let your bombs do some damage. Just be careful of the missiles, the homing missiles. But yeah, really deal as much damage as you can to that head. You really need to. Okay, capture one of these guys. Go into another alpha beam. The fight's almost over. So, if you can get a few cheap pot shots in on Coronatus between charges, that's always good. But you really just want to make sure to charge it to a double. And really stay tight on the head. If you miss, if you start hitting armor, you're not doing damage. Like there, you could hear it. And I have to deal with this section now. So it is very possible to already have Coronatus dead by now, but I just wasn't dealing quite enough damage earlier on and wasn't quite as accurate with that last alpha beam, but there you go, dead. So yeah, all in all, hopefully this is helpful for someone who's trying to learn version 2, at least Lambda route. All in all, version 2 is... I'm glad that we've got it, but I'm honestly not the biggest fan. It's just a mean version of G-Darius. I don't know if I'll go for the no miss. I might. I went this far, but I might just go back to G because I still really enjoy G. And it's a little more forgiving, which is weird because G is not an easy game. Yeah, so if you enjoyed this, like and comment, I guess. I don't know. If you really like G-Darius version 2 and you want to tell me off in the comments, I would love to hear why you think it's better than version 1. I'm still going to hold that version 1 is the better game, but if someone can change my mind, I would be happy to hear it. And yeah. Have a good one.